Thunderball is the fourth James Bond film and the what would you and the fourth Sean Connery Bond film out of his 5 film legacy. So we're almost done with the Sean Connery movies, which is my goal by the end of this week, have all the Sean Connery movies reviewed, so that way I can move on to some of the other actors, which I'm actually less familiar with. The only one I'm super familiar with is Daniel Craig, and of course a lot of that has to do to the fact that, well, I was born in 2003, so the Daniel Craig's first movie as Bond came out in 2006, which is Casino Royale. I think it was Casino Royale, anyways. I might be confusing it. So many Bond movies, it's so confusing. But I've been around enough to see a lot of his Bond films in theaters, and the ones I didn't see, I was able to catch up with and be aware of because, well, they're newer movies still. To me, anyways. A lot of these other Bond movies are very, very old. Especially the Sean Connery ones, they're from the 60s, and a lot of them are not very good. A lot of them have things that don't really hold up the best, even though a lot of them are still pretty good movies. So this film is the weirdest entry of the Bond film franchise. For most people, it's considered the black sheep, because essentially Ian Fleming, who wrote a lot of the books, basically, there was a guy, I'm forgetting his name, who wanted to adapt adapt Thunderball into a James Bond movie, but they wouldn't let him do it. Ian Fleming wouldn't let him do it, so he published a book of Thunderball, and that led to a legal battle, and then this movie came out, and because they basically want to make this movie, because if they didn't, because in that legal battle, one held the retained the rights to the books, and one retained the rights to a film adaptation, which is Ian Fleming. So or not, was it Ian Fleming? I don't know, I'm confusing it. Anyways, the point is, it's a case of too many people and legal battles and weird things that led to this kind of clunky movie that doesn't really flow together with the rest of the James Bond franchise. In fact, most Bond fans do not consider this movie canon. Most of the people involved do not consider this movie canon to the Bond series because of all these weird, legal battles and rights retaining issues. And also, this movie's not very good. What I liked about the other 2 movies is, even though they are kind of like 60s movies and they are a little bit slower paced, it still felt like they had a good pace to them, at least. This movie doesn't have that. It is very, very drawn out, long sequences of diving underwater. I guess basically the director of this movie had a thing for diving underwater, so he put some scenes underwater, and the technology wasn't there for these type of scenes, so they couldn't be very elaborate, very difficult, so they ended up just not being very good. And I get that's a technical limitation of the time, but it still is bad. Like, if you can't do something, newsflash, don't do it. Simple as that. Because if you're going to do it when you can't, or you're going to try to do it anyways when you can't, it's just not going to come out very well. And it didn't come out very well. This movie is also very slow, but it's also really fast at the same time. So there's so many characters and weird things that pop up for one scene only. And then, so it's just one of those weird movies where it's paced too fast and too slow all at the same time, and it ends up to this weird mixed bag of a movie. Sean Connery is okay, he's still in the role. You can tell he's kind of getting tired of this character's Bond. In fact, I think at this point he wanted to retire, but he didn't, and he went on to do another one after this, which I'll be talking about soon. So I think it's just a weird entry in the Bond franchise, and most people consider it that. I don't think it's a horrible movie, but it's not a movie that I would ever recommend to someone unless they said to me, I want to watch every single James Bond movie. And if you want to be a completionist and you want to see every James Bond movie, go ahead. It's not going to hurt you. Here's the thing about Bond. Bond is one of those franchises where there are not so great entries into the franchise, but there's 0 bad movies into the, I would say that I would say there's 0 movies that I would call really bad or anything. So, I mean, there's some that are better than others, and there's some that have bad elements in them. But I don't think any Bond film is truly bad. To be honest, I think they definitely are. There definitely is films with bad things about them, though, and this is unfortunately one of the weakest Bond movies. I cannot wait to be done with the Sean Connery movies. I am enjoying going through these. I'm really enjoying these movies, but I do want to like move on to some of the other Bonds. So, yeah, stay tuned for another video I got coming out later.